A very good morning to everyone. I am happy to introduce Dr. Vikram Sankar. I will tell something about him. Dr. Mr. Vikram Sankar done his schooling from St. John's High School, Bangalore, and his BSc Honours in Business Studies from Lancaster University Management School, UK. And again, he had a Bachelor's in International Business from Grenoble Graduate School of Business from France, and did his MSc in International Employment Relation and Human Resource Management from London, UK. And I met him in 2013, I remember. So we were talking about millet during that time, and that time he had a company called Sunlac Agro Industries Limited. He was the founder and managing director for that. And currently he's having another company called Borne Technologies Private Limited, and he's giving a fellowship for Sanku Gautami. Where is Gautami? Yeah, she's here. And he's mostly involved in millets. And he has one another office at Mumbai. It is called Policy Advocacy Research Center, where they will be advocating policy related issues with the government. And his father is retired from World Health Organization, and his mother, Lakshmi Shankar Narayan, is backbone for both of these guys. And she's also the managing director for these companies. And we are happy to have you, Mr. Vikram, here. And this is the first of your lecture from you, as you are the first professor of practice who will be delivering lecture today. Welcome, Sankar. Yeah.
First of all, good morning to everyone. Yeah, I need a little louder one. Come on, a little more energy. You guys have energy. Yeah, that sounds more like it. Well, as Sir said, it's an honor for me to be here. I'm Vikram Sankar Narayanan. It's nostalgic for me to come back to TNAU because I owe a lot to your institution, as a matter of fact. So I came back to the country to work on food and nutrition security. I was so ignorant at that time, I did not know finger millet was a millet. Ragi was a millet. That's as ignorant as I was at the time. So you can imagine where I started from. Complete scratch. Yeah. I was conditioned to believe, the world was talking about quinoa, the world was talking about other crops, amaranth, etc., all those things, but we forgot what we had in our native place. The interesting part of the journey was when I structured things economically. So I kind of realized that, look, with cash crops, the government, the exchequer is subsidizing the inputs, right, from seeds, from pesticides, fertilizers, all of those inputs. And then the farmers had to buy these as well on credit. And a simple phenomena, if it did not rain at the right time, or if the temperatures rose, all hell breaks loose. The state loses money, the farmers are put under stress. So it was an eye opener. So the whole phenomena of farmer suicides, etc., could be justified under this economic structure. I mailed about 60 people in government. Dr. Ravi Kesavan was clear that, the background is that dad knew all these people, but I did not have access to these networks. My mother said, you go find them yourself. So 60 people I mailed in government. The only person who responded to me was then the vice chairman of the State Planning Commission of Tamil Nadu. Her name was Ms. Santashila Nair, a very dynamic officer of the Indian Administrative Services. Ma'am retired, but then she started working again for Ms. Jayalalitha. She is the person who connected me to Dr. Ravi Kesavan, who demystified millets for me even more. So basically, I've come back to home ground. So it's a pleasure for me to be with all of you here. It's an honor for me. And I owe Sir and I owe institution quite a bit. So this is not just words. When I say I'm honored to be here, it's like some template where we talk, thanking everybody everywhere. No. It's a fact. I'm honored and humbled to be here. And before I start off, I know all of you have been on field since 6:30 in the morning. How many of you have been on field since 6:30 in the morning? Come on, put your hands up. What? No one's going to take a rifle and shoot you all for putting your hands up. Higher. Get some energy out. Right, you've all been on the field, right? So I don't want to put you to sleep. So for those of you who have been on field, before I start giving you a ton of information, may I know what it is that you want to hear from me in this lecture? What it is that you're curious about? Volunteer, so I don't bore you all. The idea is to engage, interact, engage, interact. So would someone be kind enough to stand up and say, this is what I want to know from you? Come on. I wish I had this opportunity sitting at your end back in the day. We didn't have this opportunity. So I'm giving you that opportunity. I'm sure Dr. Ravi Kesan would have never had this opportunity back in the day. Come on. So you want me to tell you about how your knowledge will convert to practice and how it affects markets? Does that work? Okay. Yeah, that's one. Two. Next. Entrepreneurship. Excellent. So you want to know how is it that we have enterprise thinking, right? Entrepreneurship is nothing but enterprise thinking, using your knowledge and capturing an opportunity, having an ecosystem that works for you, right? Brilliant. Next. I've put five. Anything beyond five, you'll all be put off to sleep. I know that. So which I don't want to do. Third one, ma'am. Sorry, you're thinking. The young man behind? Yeah, the one with the dandy hair. Go on. I'm waiting. Huh? I'm waiting. I'm sure your professors are happy to wait as well. Yeah. So the third one, we've spoken about entrepreneurship, enterprise development. How does your knowledge convert into practice for the market economy? Right. Okay, let's start with these two. By the time I'm still waiting for three, you please put your hands up and say, this is also what I want to know. Okay. Do you want to know the, okay, I'll offer a third one. Do you want to understand the realities of an entrepreneur? The realities, what you won't get on a textbook. Hmm? Okay, since we're talking about the market, since we're talking about entrepreneurship, and since we're talking about the risks of entrepreneurship, how many of you plan on getting into entrepreneurship, becoming entrepreneurs someday? How many of you volunteering to put your hands up? You want to try it someday. Don't worry. When I was in your place, I was also hesitant. I was like, are you sure? Is it going to be too hard? Of course. Okay, let's get down to the bread and butter of it. Currently in India, today we are going through a phenomena, a larger global phenomena, but more so in India because we are under huge pressure population wise. How do we feed this population? How do we nurture this population? How do we make the population more productive? Right? You must have heard of the National Family Health Survey, the NFHS, where they go across the country, they identify health issues. Now, in non-communicable diseases, we have diabetes and cholesterol. I am sure every single one of you have one member in your family with some non-communicable disease, primarily which is linked to their transition in diets, right? So how many of you have heard of the Green Revolution? All of you, all of you. That's part of your curriculum, right? So what was the outcome of this Green Revolution? Cash crops, right? Cash crops such as rice, such as wheat, correct? And others, right? Now, these cash crops are actually very, very resource intensive, highly resource intensive. Now, they affect the market. I'll tell you why. All right. Let's take rice. I spoke to you about subsidies earlier. Yeah. Now, the state was driving this back in the time. It was Nehruvian philosophies that was governing India at the time. It wasn't the market governing India. It was Nehruvian philosophies governing India. So it was expected that the state spend money for the public. All right. Institutions such as yours, like TNAU, were the backbone of these activities at the time. What happened is suddenly you had large portions of our population transition away from other crops like minor millets, etc., which were the staple of the masses. Minor millets. You must have all heard. Some of you from Tamil Nadu would have heard about kambangule, All of these. Some of you from the north must have just eaten bajra and rag and nachni, all of those as well. Like, so I'm given to understand you're from all parts of this country. So all of you must have had a millet-based diet, or your ancestors must have had a millet-based diet about 50 years ago, predominantly, right? This transition basically had a huge shift to resource-intensive crops. But now, what is the elephant in the room today? Everyone is talking about it. The government of India is talking about it. The United Nations is talking about it. What is it? Would someone like to volunteer? The current phenomena which is threatening resource intensive crops? Come on, it's a very common word. Sorry? There you go. Climate change. You nailed it. Spot on. Bullseye. Right? Thank you for that. That's nice. And I'm glad to see you're all waking up a bit. Touch wood. Under these circumstances, an opportunity arose for me. So I was telling you about starting off with quinoa. Sheila, ma'am, banging her hands on the desk and saying, you have no business bringing a foreign cultivar into this country. You're going to kill the ecosystem. Do you know what millets are? And I was looking so clueless. 3 weeks of research, two interactions with Sir, coming to Tamil Nadu Agriculture University, Eureka. Absolute Eureka. But can only the state drive this? So how many of you know about 1991? What happened in 1991 in India? So we spoke about how the Green Revolution was orchestrated with Nehruvian understanding. We had a very Soviet economic structuring at the time. By Soviet, we're talking about how the USSR was run at the time. And that governed the way India managed its ecosystems. But 1991 happened. How many of you know like economics in this room? What? The liberalization, right? Who was that who said that? Who said the liberalization? I think someone answered. Okay, that person doesn't want to volunteer, but I heard liberalization from somebody. So the market liberalized. That means the market forces started coming into place. Now here I was stuck trying to challenge the Green Revolution, which governed how India managed its food resources through agricultural frameworks, right? So think of the agriculture framework, think of food resources, think of feeding these masses. Now today, India has 1.4 billion people. 1.4 billion people to feed and feed nutritiously, but driven through the market. The state has its limitations. Let's get practical over here. I speak with Dr. Ravi Keswan. I attend budget meetings with him for the state. Agriculture being a state subject, center keeps harping, but finally it boils down to every state in the country. They all function in silos. Sir comes up with solutions. He has solutions. But even with the best intent, a lot of stakeholders cannot work on it because of bureaucratic limitations. Therefore, the market. And hence, I'm talking about the market economy, right? How do we drive this market economy? Why minor millets over here? These are climate change resilient, elephant in the room. They're low resource intensive, so they're not putting risks on farmers. I had a brilliant experience in a region in Andhra Pradesh, basically new Andhra Pradesh right now, which is called Vizianagaram, Anekapalli. Back in the day when my father was a young man, when they used to have these communist chants and all of that, they say Anekapalli Zindabad and it became a place of Naxalism, right? We had an intervention where Borne established a primary processing plant. And eventually farmers in that area started growing this because what they said, we don't have to borrow money for fertilizers and pesticides. Seeds are easily accessible. We don't need to plow so much and we don't need to maintain so much. So the labor input. So they were saying that rather than going to a town and working during fallow periods as non-listed labor in construction sites, I'd rather stay in my village. And suddenly you had about 3,000 acres of people planting minor millets just to feed this processing plant, which did the value addition and service the market. So obviously, less state, more market. Where did the state come into the picture? The state came into the picture, and mind you, Tamil Nadu was spearheading this at the time. Today, it's unfortunate because if you go to Odisha, they're saying Odisha Millet Mission, but Odisha Millet Mission's key know-how comes from Tamil Nadu because I drove it there. I drove it in Karnataka. The mother base is this state. I'm not saying it patriotically. I'm just stating a fact is a fact. We have the know-how out here. We have the know-how out here. And you have the power to be able to propagate this knowledge and drive the market around it without running to the state to burden. I work, like Sir mentioned, I work for the Policy Advocacy Research Center as well in Mumbai. Yeah. Half the time I sit and break my head in New Delhi. What are they going on about? The exchequer doesn't have money. The exchequer is bleeding. Tax collections have been poor. The market's not picking up. Resources, everyone's fighting growing GST requirements. They're saying that, for diamonds, which is the most useless, overpriced commodity, if you actually release the stock of diamonds, which is kept in stock, and which is partially released every year, diamonds would become cheaper than costume jewelry. There they put 0.25% GST. You put certain agricultural inputs, which is highly labor driven. Like, the whole idea is that you're creating jobs through this. Some of them are putting 12 and 18% GST. So diamonds are 0.25. So I'm giving you an example of the kind of frustrations out there. This exchequer's not got money to put out. They cannot drive another green revolution. It's the market that happens, and it's you who are the key actors in driving this forward. Thankfully, at the time, I had access to Sir. So the key lesson, now since we're talking about lesson today, it's about understanding your market realities and understanding opportunities and plugging this gap with your knowledge. Can someone repeat that in different words? Can someone tell me what they've understood from what I've said so far? Maybe young lady, you? Ma'am, stand up.
I understood what you said. Like, should I repeat it again? We spoke about millets and why should we why why should we focus on millet because it's there in India, and after that we saw about marketing as like you said about marketing aspects such yeah market aspects in that like how farm like you told the story of one place in Anekapalli. Yes.
Wasn't that they would come someone like Dr. Ravi Kesri and say that this is state mandate, you stand there, you get this done.
No, like
And then suddenly they stop funding Dr. Ravi Kesri and then he will say, I put all this hard work, now what do I do? Right? Yeah. So it has to be driven. So here we're taking knowledge from someone like Dr. Ravi, right? Converting that into practice and getting the market to drive it forward. The farmers are the market and the supplier. The processor is the market and the value addition. The consumer is the market. So here, technically speaking, I wanted to get out the elephant in the room: backward integration, value addition, forward integration. So can you all repeat that? I know this sounds a bit childish, but why don't you all stand up? Come on, stand up. I think everyone needs to wake up for it. Come on. There you go. Value addition stands in the middle. What's before value addition?
backup integration.
Backward integration.
Backward integration.
And what comes after value addition?
Forward integration.
What is the superstructure over and above this? The market. Yeah? All right. Okay. Thank you so much. Now we're moving on to entrepreneurship. So I'm still troubling you all. We finished 2 points here. We're going on to the second point. I still need 3. So if some of you can volunteer and give me what you all want to know as a third thing after I speak about enterprise thinking. Enterprise thinking. Yeah? Okay, I'll tell you a story. In our country, we tend to be a little status conscious. I graduated from London School of Economics. Supposedly, some person gave it a rank that it was one of the top schools in the world, and my program was one of the top programs in the world. And they thought I was completely crazy. They're like, you're going back to India, and what are you doing? You're giving up all these job offers, and what are you doing over there? You're going back to the country, and you want to work on millets, or you want to work on food and nutrition security. They thought I was completely mad over there. I ended up actually I had no plans of being a business person at the time. Why did I become a business person? because people were not able to understand the concepts I was speaking about, and they were not, the state bodies were not willing to put money into it because this person's talking a hypothesis, he's not talking a fact. How did I convert the hypotheses into practice? It's by taking the risk of through enterprise thinking. I had to build something on my own. Today, let me come. I'm not talking about my relationship with Sir right now, right? Now, today, if I came to him and I told him, well, I've thought about this idea, I think it's going to work, he's going to turn back and tell me, look, I have a pen over here and I need to sign a paper for which if your information is not going to work, my credibility is at stake. Fact. It was a hypothesis. I came with a hypothesis, but I had to convert that hypothesis into practice. So yes, we're thinking that you're building that hypothesis because it's going to convert to an opportunity. But along with that opportunity, there's also risk. So what are the key two words here in enterprise thinking? Capturing opportunities, managing risk. So what I want you to take away from this room is, yes, you may have an idea. That idea has to be converted to practice, right? Some of you would be privileged enough to have the state working with you. But of course, there are a lot of boundaries in the state. You can ask your professors as well. I mean, they're idea generators. But today, because of the bureaucratic framework, red tape, etc., they would be having challenges, right? But in this, on the other side of the platform, you have the market without the red tape, because there's no one to put a boundary on it, but you have to bear the risk, right? So I'm going to start with the non-romantic idea of risk. Nobody wants to talk about risk. Everyone wants to talk about the person who wins the race, but they don't forget about all the people who lost the race. And let me tell you, I've made failures. I've had a huge number of setbacks. He's seen me in tears. He's seen me in frustration. In enterprise thinking, when you're looking at opportunities, right? Young man, if there's something funny out there, why don't you share it? I'm not upset, by the way. If there's something, why don't you share it? It might also wake us up a bit. Person next to you? Oh, come on. If there's a joke, even I'd like to hear one. I'm 40, but I still like to laugh. Yeah? Nothing? Oh, come on. Anyways, leave it. In enterprise thinking, when you're looking at an opportunity, you're looking at essentially a gap. Now we spoke about backward integration, value addition, forward integration. In backward integration, what are some of the steps that you would take for millets? Soil preparation, soil health cards, seeds, practices, training. So essentially, you're talking a mix of products and services, right? There are products like the seeds. There are services such as the best practices and training. Correct? Are you with me? Lovely, right? Each of these steps, even in the larger chunk of backward integration, have opportunities. All right. But how do you strengthen that opportunity with enterprise thinking here? You need to see, first of all, you can think like before, trust me, when I was much more immature, I used to think people needed something. They're like, we never asked you for it. I was like, oh. So then I had to come back to earth. I was sitting with wings in my head, flying in the air. Yeah. Because they're like, look, boss, what you're saying is nice, but then we don't need it. We don't care about your qualifications. They don't mean anything to us. Does this put food on our plate? Does your service or product put food on our plate? As simple as that. Roti kapra makan. Right. So obviously, so now if you're thinking, would three of you like to name three services that go into backward integration for any crop? Like, let's take millet since we're talking. Three of you. And not you, young lady, because you're the one who's always volunteering. I need to wake these people up. Yeah. So come on, before I start target practice. Young man, the middle. Yeah. Sorry. Not just millets, but in millets, in backward integration, what are three services that you can think of offering a farmer? One. Name one of the three services that come to your mind. Okay, regarding farming, but there you're giving me the whole chunk again. Nothing in it. Soil testing, is that a service? Will they pay you for that service? Will they pay you to test the soil? Of course they would. Yeah. Okay. Next. Ma'am. There you go. Training. So training regarding what? Best practices? So that's your knowledge. You're converting that into some practice. They will pay you for that. So there's an enterprise. The fact that there is a transaction, an economic transaction, because you're offering your time and knowledge, and they pay you for that knowledge, there is an economic transaction. You understand? Correct? Good. Young man there. Third, what is it that you can provide as a service in backward integration? தமிழ்ல கேட்கலாமா? நான் வந்து உங்களுக்கு நீங்க ஃபீல்ட்ல இறங்கும்போது நமக்கு வந்து ஒரு விவசாயிக்கு இவங்க ஒண்ணு சொல்லியிருக்காங்க ட்ரைனிங் கொடுக்கலாம். இன்னொருத்தவங்க சொல்லியிருக்காங்க வந்து அதுல வந்து நீங்க என்ன சொன்னீங்க? சாயில் டெஸ்டிங் சொன்னாங்க. அது ஒரு சர்வீஸ். நீங்க என்ன சொல்றீங்க? Here, louder, louder. I'm 40. You're half my age and I'm talking like this. Come on, guys. Yeah. There you go. You can talk about it or you can impart knowledge on it, right? Right. So you're providing a service, right? And that can be in the form of a website also, different modicums to transfer this service. Great. Now in value addition, what are the three products that come to your mind? I'm not making it easy here. Products, hard products, something you can see. This is a product. What are hard products? Hmm? Floor? Very good. So you're talking about the end product. End product. Now to get that to the end product, what do you need? Good. That's good. I'm glad you're volunteering. There you go. So you have. So what do you call that? Value addition, machinery, primary processing. There you go. So you need technology, machinery, right? Very good. Thank you, young lady. Anything else? Product. Think, think. So she gave the core. She gave the crux of it. Because the idea is that you need to convert it, right? Whether it's the stage of cleaning and grading is one conversion, whether it's dehulling is the next conversion, whether it's packing, that's another conversion. So even that can be broken down to various enterprises for enterprise thinking because those are an opportunity. Third, second, and machinery. You need, along with the machinery, when you give an accounting term, when you're looking at the balance sheet or the profit and loss account, what is it coupled with? Plant and machinery. Now, is every entrepreneur going to be able to buy land and set up a plant? So you have real estate coming into the picture. That's an opportunity. Yeah. You have common facility centers. What are common facility centers? Multiple technologies inside, but finally you need a plant and machinery. 2, 3. Warehousing. Warehousing. Very, very good. Very good. Warehousing is so important because in the value chain, you need to, very good. Very, very good. And that's a service in itself, right? Because what warehousing is not just taking a room and throwing it in. There are temperature controls. There are various things. There's knowledge that goes into warehousing. Huge knowledge that goes into warehousing, be it in the management of warehousing itself. So there's a warehouse in itself. There's a service of managing the warehouse. Sometimes people build the infrastructure, but they give it on management contract to another enterprise, which only offers a service of managing that infrastructure. Right. But that all has knowledge from people like you all. Because how do we store cowpea for 6 months in a cold storage at this point? What temperatures? What's your moisture control? I mean, that's your knowledge that comes into that, right? Okay, I want to tell you all one more thing, right? Why am I here today? Okay. There's only one word for it: gratitude. I am humbly grateful to be here today. If he's calling me, I have a crazy schedule, very crazy schedule. If Sir calls me today or from anywhere I am, I'll come. It's a debt of gratitude. Because he did whatever I'm doing today, I owe your institution. I'm telling you, I'm not making this flowery terms. Nobody has there to guide me. So if I'm coming and giving you all this time, I want you all to participate. I want you all to take something from me because I took a lot from your institution. I took a lot from your professor here. Nobody guided me at the time. I was made a mockery. I was Western educated. I was non-faculty driven. My Tamil was terrible, to say the least. If a farmer spoke to me, they were thinking I was a comedy show, right? Literally hearing my Tamil at the time. I'm serious. So use me today. Take what you can from me because I'm an open book today. I have a deep sense of gratitude and an unpayable debt to this institution and to that very person sitting there today, Dr. Ravi Kesavan. He summons me, I'll come. Use me. What else would you like to know? So now we've done the enterprise thinking aspect of it. Market is a different animal. I do not want to get into the market right now because I will make a khichdi out of your head. Bel puri, khichdi, I don't know, all the exotic dishes, purials in your head if I get into the market today. Because I'm going to come back and I'm going to trouble you all for the market later because I'm not leaving this place without giving you all an assignment. I'm evil that way. Yeah. So come on, what's the third thing? There are 5 things we need to talk about. By the way, am I doing good on time? Are you sure? Okay. I'm shaking them up a little. If that's okay by you. Yeah. Good. Do I want to do target practice or will someone volunteer? Young man, stand up. I've come here today. We spoke about enterprise thinking, entrepreneurship, the idea of enterprise, opportunity, risk. I'll come to risk a little later. I'll let you all dream a little. Next lecture, I'll talk about risk a little more. Why kill the dream? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Very good. Very good. So if you have an idea and you have this enterprise thinking, how do you build on that idea? Right? Is that what you're saying? Very good. I think this is a very important. What's your name? Mohammed Yasin, 5 stars to you. Yeah. Thank you so much. This is a very, very good thing. Because sometimes, let me tell you, you need resources to build on ideas, and resources come from different places, right? It's a very challenge. Please sit. Please sit. Thank you. And thank you for volunteering. So I had to do target practice to get this out of you. Leah, come on. Don't worry, there'll be more victims. There are 2 more victims coming along the way now after Mohammed Yasin. So, funding. Before in the market, back in the day, before the liberalization, most of your funding came in from public sector undertakings like State Bank of India. They were banking institutions which gave money at extortionate interest rates. Extortionate. And you know, we were a country which was underfunded. We were a developing country at the time. Money was expensive. I mean, you're talking double-digit interest rates for borrowing money for ideas, and it fraught with risk, right? But then liberalization happened. Investments started coming. People did not talk debt. Gradually, debt. The word debt reduced and reduced and reduced and reduced and reduced. Today, you hear debt as a whisper. We talk investment today, right? You know, you must have all heard about these agri startups, right? That come with ideas, drones, AI. field testing, soil testing, etc. Those are ideas which have now been put to practice by bodies. If you're looking at Western markets, right, there's something called economic stagnation, which is why their money, if say they've kept £1 in a bank in the United Kingdom, or if you've got $1 greenback in their bank, it's not even giving them 1% return. Now the thing is, the markets have globalized. Money markets have globalized. It's a global framework. It's not a national framework or regional framework. It's a global framework. People are looking for the next best opportunity. If I have one unit of currency lying dormant in one bank, which is giving me X return, how do I make it X plus Y plus Z return? Because I need money to live on and my local economy. So because of this global framework, there's something called foreign direct investment. In India, your money markets are mostly driven by foreign direct investments into ideas, which is why I'm saying it's not your domestic markets necessarily which are investor, because in India, investments are seen as too risky. The risk appetite is lesser. So you have foreign investors who pump their money into the country and bring it to Indian platforms, who then invest in people like you all who have ideas, who want to put those ideas to practice. And it's an excellent avenue. I'll tell you why it's excellent later. So say Mr. Mohammad Yassin, yeah, comes up. He is on the drawing board. He comes and he says, this is my business plan. This is my projection this year. This is my idea. These are the risks. This is how I'm going to manage it. This is what I know. This is what I need. The why, the what, the when, the how, with what, those questions, basically they're bundled up and put. People give long presentations. Sometimes investors don't like to hear those. They want to be very crisp. What is it that you're going to do in your first year? What are the opportunities? What are the risks? How do you manage it? But so Mr. Mohammad Yassin will be sitting with a panel of investors. Each of them have their kitty with money in it. Some will say, okay, I know what he's talking about. Some will say, I don't know what he's talking about. Some will say, let me invest with Mr. Mohammad Yassin, right? So Mr. Mohammad Yassin will come and then he gives equity to an enterprise. So you have to form an enterprise on paper to start with and give equity. So if they're giving you the Series A funding for it, that is your grass functioning to validate your hypotheses, to build on the idea, to pilot it in a smaller scale, to capacity build later. Always pilot and capacity build. It reduces your risk because in piloting, you understand what's possible, what's not possible. And a country like India, which is so diverse, because it's not just about your soil, it's about the practices, it's about the farming communities, it's about how people do things, what are their belief systems, how is it that they work, what's their approach to work. There are so many factors and variables that you have to consider in this, and that your investor wants to know what are those variables. So you have to create those variables. So Mr. Mohammad Yassin will say, I'm going to destination X to capture this idea, to pilot, to capacity build with such people. So an investor will fund this idea for some portion of equity. Now that's successful. The equity builds value to your enterprise. Get my point? Suddenly you find that, of course, it's very interesting, but suddenly you find these companies like Byju's, etc., which suddenly over 5 years have a valuation which is like going to the moon. Right? You have to be very careful of investments, investors, ideas, concepts, because how you manage these resources is very, very important. Like in my case, my mother was very tough on me. I can tell you, she did not want me going to the market. She's like, that's easy money, struggle. Shanta ma'am was a classic. She's like, you have no business coming and asking me for subsidies. Vikram, I will not see to it. You will not get a subsidy ever for anything. You're a businessman, behave like one. And ma'am is still my mentor and I still get a good caning. Huh? I'm still a schoolboy in front of her. People can sing my praises. Oh, you've successfully done this. Oh, you've successfully gone to states and programs and built this up. But when I go asking for resources, they're like, you're asking for resources. That means you're not doing it correctly. Plain and simple. Sheila ma'am's response to me. She still is my headmaster in that angle. Before the world praises me, she will come and cut me to size in 2 minutes. My mother does the same thing. So resources for me was very tough. I had to build them up. Today we go for meetings. A main problem for an entrepreneur when we have to do it is the amount of risk the government puts on us to be able to develop these kind of instruments, systems, and put them to practice in places. It's very difficult. I still get support, but there's only so much support that someone like Dr. Ravi Kesavan can give, even if he believes in what I'm doing or what I'm saying. There's only so much support. So funding it, supporting it, building on it is going to test your patience a lot. It's going to test your ability, and you're going to fall. If you're getting into entrepreneurship, it's not an easy journey. It is not an easy journey. It's worth it. You create jobs, you build the economy, you're contributing to the exchequer. You're doing a lot. That's the happy side of it, but it's going to really, really test your patience and will. That's something nobody will tell you from a textbook. So if you have the stomach for it, do it. But it's beautiful. Let me tell you, it's also beautiful. It's the sweat, the blood, the tears, the fear, the pay, the beatings are also part of the equation, along with the gains, the prosperity, the impact. All of that is also there. So you have both of these coupled. Does that answer your question, Mohammed Yassin? Yeah. Thank you. So do I target practice, or do I get some volunteers to give me the third and fourth, I mean the fourth and fifth thing we talk about today? I'm going to catch the characters who are hiding in the back right now. Young lady. So it's alternative. There's going to be a young lady and a young man. Young lady. So the next one's a man. Huh? So be careful. So I'm just telling you all. Yes, you've come here today. We've spoken about the market economy, the need of the market and the governance of the market. We've spoken about enterprise thinking. We've spoken about funding. Stand up, please. You can tell me in Tamil. It's still a medium of communication. Would you like a mic? So, new innovations. Right, innovation. That's a very good one. So I'll talk to you about our own journey of innovation. Innovation, at the time, primary processing of minor millets was a very, very, very challenging task. One, the dehulling percentage was low. The broken percentages were high. They were not retaining the aileron layer. And as you know, like rice and wheat is a very complicated crop because you can keep the raw material stored for even 5, 6, 10 years, they say, 12 in some cases. But the minute you process it, it has to be consumed. Some people say 6 months, but that's after doing all sorts of gimmicks with it. But within 2 months, ideally, it has to be in someone's stomach or it's going to go spoiled, right? The innovation for us, I was left in a very desperate situation once upon a time. I'm not going to say the name of the enterprise. People, I was saying, can I just get food grade material? Everyone was using mild steel over here, something as basic as that, rusting, rust formation. And I was highlighting it. And one machine manufacturer in Coimbatore that I banked on turned out, said, I'll give you stainless steel. But then one area was stainless steel, the other area was mild steel in a core area, and that was breaking down and coming apart. I was desperate. And I was insulted also because I came literally, I'm not the nature to go and fight. I humbly went and asked him, Sir, can you please do something about this? This is India, this is how it works. In Tamil, they say something, Elakarama pesra. So that's what that person said. Now, I happen to have a colleague, an engineer, Mr. Vignesh. God bless him. He's there with me today as well. He said, let us try. Let us make our own instrument. Let us try. There's a logic behind this. The idea is you want to remove the hull, you want to retain the brand, because where's the nutrition? It's in the brand. You take Kodo millet, foxtail millet, little millet, proso millet, any of these millets, you have the hull, the bran, and the grain, correct? Initially, when they used to put in rice polishers, like what we get in Theni, etc., it comes out pearly white. There's no nutrition. It goes through abrasion, oxidative acidity. Imagine it's in a room. It's a very sensitive crop, it's a sensitive product. You keep it in a room in a moist environment. After the abrasion happens, there's heat, and then it starts caking up because of the attraction of moisture, because of the varying temperature conditions. So we had all these complications. So then we started building an impact mechanism where we regulate the force of the impact for different minor minerals. Kodo would need more, foxtail would need less. Maybe what we can do is that one day, if Sir would uh, kindly agree to it, or if he would consider it, rather than agree, consider it, I'd love to invite you all. And what I want you all to do is go in there, just say, this is my playground. I'm going to talk to a lot of young engineers over there, and I'm going to make understand what is this entire protocol and process. So the innovation wasn't only in the machinery, because then they were like, okay, we found the dehuller, but how do we separate immatures? Because immature grains were aplenty. So then even in the vibro grading and vibro cleaning, before they used to use cam systems, we decided to bring vibration systems. So much so, people used to think I was importing machinery into the country. No, local talent and local knowledge and local practices. This is make it India. We are not getting something from Germany or Taiwan. China, I wouldn't touch with a barge pole. That is a different equation altogether. It's not worth touching. Their quality standards are deplorable. But we actually have the capacity to innovate, build, and understand these things. So when you're talking innovation, it wasn't only in the machinery, it was also the protocol. There wasn't a protocol set in place. It wasn't like today I can tell you the protocol. Before, if you go to rice, a standard protocol was established in the primary processing of rice. Today, I know we need to vibro grade and clean, vibro destone, go through the fine separation to remove immature grains even after destoning, even after grading, when all the other things are taken and separated. Then it goes into dehulling, which is regulated through an RPM control mechanism, which regulates the impact to retain the bran layer. And then it goes to gravity separation and then color sorting. Today I have that protocol, but to reach here, it took me 4 years, 4.5 years of pain. That is not factoring COVID time. COVID time, they reduced me to beggary. Nobody had resources. Somehow, by the grace of God, I could keep the people that I had through some money, reserves, and profits earned earlier fed and alive during that time. So that's also a problem for entrepreneurs. You don't know what's going to happen out there. Tomorrow they throw one bomb somewhere, and suddenly in some other country that will affect our economy. Anyway, I don't want to move away from the topic of innovation. So it was in the protocols, it was in the machinery. And innovation is where your opportunity also is, the gap is. So when you're looking at opportunity, and if you're looking and you found the innovation, just like Mr. Mohammad Yasin had brought it up, you take that innovation and you capacity build on it. After you've done the piloting, the testing, the understanding, the capacity building. So we've spoken about innovation. Does that answer your question, young? That was a very, very good suggestion. This is why you need to volunteer. You all have this fear to express. Nobody's judging you. No, there's nothing stupid, nothing sensible. It's the way we look at it. And if someone is going to make fun of you for saying or expressing your thoughts, avoid that person. Not worth it. Don't live in fear. Express that I'm here to serve you all, just like, you know what, I'm here with gratitude. I'm not taking anything financial from you. It's for me to give back to him, to this institution. Please, so use this opportunity. Target practice or volunteering? Young men. Yeah? What would you like to hear from me? Present market demands for millets or in general? Can you say that again? Right. So how do you determine the demand? Right. How many of you read the newspapers every day? Be honest. At least when I was studying for some time, there was a time when I was so immersed in my curriculum, I didn't read the newspaper. I'll be honest. I'm being honest here. When I was studying, how many of you read the newspaper every day? Seriously. Mohammad Yasin, great. Ma'am, great. Fair enough. But you need to open your heads to understand what questions to ask. You want to determine demand. Now you have an idea in either the backward integration, the value addition, or the forward integration, the market economy. Right. You want to determine demand. Nobody's going to come and serve that idea to you on a plate. Oh, we actually need this. Actually, that's very dangerous, huh? Because some people have come asking me, Namakidaveno, we want this, we want this, we want this. After doing it and giving it to them, oh, people Namakidavenda actually. Oh, I had that. Huh? I have real life experiences. And trust me, I put money into developing that and giving it to them. And then after they'll nicely say that, no, 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 we don't need this right now. Or there are even some others who will start criticizing without knowing the subject even. That is a cherry on the icing on the cake. You know, on the cake, there's a cherry on top. Oh, that's what it is. So for demand, to demystify demand, to understand what are the gaps, because for you, a gap results in demand. How important is that gap to fill? There is a gap. How important is it to fill that gap? That's where the first question lies. But to be able to understand the gaps, you need to mine for it, mine the information. Mining of information is only when you open your heads. Like I understand that, sir was saying, so Pollachi is a very strategic place for, like how we have Erode for turmeric. Pollachi is the benchmark setting place for pricing of coconut across the country. And now when Pollachi has a problem, your coconut dynamics get shaken, full stop. What did he go and do? A causal review analysis, data. He went with a large cohort of your university to go over there, went on the field, captured information, brought that information to kind of demystify. Now he'll process that. You'll process that information, sort the information, bundle it together, get the numbers, capture trends, build hypotheses, state facts. So when you're talking about demand, to determine what's the demand, it's a gap analysis and you need to head out. But even when before heading out, you need to know what question to ask. And how you do that is a very systematic process. First of all, if there's one key takeaway I tell you all today, how many of you spend time watching memes on your phones every day to relax? How many of you, come on, volunteer guys, please. Yeah, you all watch memes, right? That's great. So you spend about half an hour watching these memes, half an hour, Instagram, etc. Half an hour. Yeah? Come on, honesty is beautiful. It's lovely. Trust me, there are times I watch Tom and Jerry these days because I really need to relax my head. I do my 15 minutes of Tom and Jerry. I love Tom and Jerry. No shame in it. I'm 40 and I will love it. Yeah. But okay, out of those half an hour that you spend on your memes, maybe you can start the habit of taking 10 minutes to you see newspapers on your campus? You see newspapers at home? How many of you live at home? Oh, come on. Or how many of you live in your hostels? Huh. So do you have a newspaper in your hostel? So it's there. It's there, right? Now you take the horse to the water. The horse has to drink the water. You can't force the horse's head into the water. 10 minutes. Spare 10 minutes. I'm telling you, it works. Today, I'm sitting giving you this lecture. I wish I spent more time on newspaper. I saw the Hindu in the morning today. Oh, I'm so busy. I have to rush. I didn't touch my newspaper today. And I regret it. I'm going to go back home later and will read it. Because it's right there. It's on your doorstep. So you can determine your demand, but there is no linear journey. I cannot give you the solution. I can give you the path. This is the path. Widen your knowledge. Find a list of questions. Some area. For me, it was food and nutrition security. How do we feed the world? That was my thing. What's going to be needed in the future? Climate change is happening. You volunteered to say that. So it really just builds up. Yeah. So we've discussed 5 of it today. So now what is it that you want from me after this? Because I don't know. I've come here today for Dr. Ravi Kesavan for TNAU. Gratitude to give back, to be able to see you all. I just hope that one day, all of you think that sky is the limit. And you're very lucky to be studying here. It's a dream for a lot of people to be studying here. So when I come back the next time, if I'm needed the next time, if sir thinks that I've done a decent job with all of you, if I can come to give back even more, we need to make this more constructive. ideally speaking, the next time we'll try to do workshops. Maybe a workshop in my company where all of you can come. Come to Borne. You don't have to talk to me. I don't want to put you all to sleep. You talk to people, fun people, experiment, try, do things, understand what this is, see what the gaps are, see what the engineers are struggling with, see what the market's doing. Come see we've designed brochures. Yeah, yeah. So we'll try to organize something on those lines, and then we'll do workshops. Yes, ma'am. Shoot. Now let everyone hear those questions. Now you all need some voice training. I can't believe you people. Like really, what are you all eating these days?
Sir, actually, like I was thinking in this aspect, like last year was millet year, and I have attended one workshop in our camp, not workshop, some program in our college only. Like they told us to give some entrepreneurial idea regarding millets. Like I have presented, it's like similar, like how Suguna chicken or integration works where I was there. Like similar, I have implemented that to millets. But then again, it has a lot of drawbacks because in chicken, like farmer per kg, they'll get 110 rupees. Like when they give to before market itself for 1 kg. But in millets, like farmer doesn't get that much. But after processing, the price will like triples, and consumer also not affected. So farmer is also not benefited, even consumer, like it's millet market is like for Bangalore, like big cities it works, but in small city, like we live in small city, like I know nutritional aspects of millet. When I say my father buy that, like he'll say this is this much of cost, that same cost we can get another thing. Yeah, so like how can we address all those problems? So entrepreneur is solution, but entrepreneur that doesn't give solution for that problems.
The revival of millets, essentially millets shouldn't be so expensive. Let me be honest. Okay. But there's a scalability factor. If you're doing it structurally, right? Today we're looking at there's no like how you have a regulation for your cash crops. Though the central government has mandated, there was a gazetted notification on April 13, 2018, requesting that they need to be having a minimum support price given. But a state has no obligation to listen to the center because agriculture is a state subject. Right. Okay. So they can put that gazetted notification and say, great, 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 but it's our choice. Now, this is a very interesting question. In Karnataka, after I used to work for a technocrat by the name Mr. Krishna Bairigowda at the time. He saw the work I'd done, picked me up, and threw me in beautiful days. After he went, the political will died because the next person's like, oh, if I tell people to eat millets, I'll lose my political position because the public will say you're making me eat poor man's food. It's true. Trust me. The politician finally will have to work to gain votes for himself or herself and the party. The bureaucrats are swamped. Now, they also, even if they volunteer to do something, they need the political will behind. Now, you're talking about, so why I'm bringing this to pricing is because until and unless you have a benchmark, today your pricing volatilities are crazy for little millet, foxtail. The time the price drops and the price rises. The same Monday you go in 1 week. If you want, I think someone, if you should volunteer doing that, if you can say that as part of TNAU, you have 5 trading points, right? Like say, for example, for Jamna Maratur, it's for little millet in Tamil Nadu. So you have 5 traders and every day you call the trader and you say, what is the price point? And you start building a graph on it. I'm telling you, it's good learning. Good learning. One of you volunteer to do it, you build a small little exercise. Maybe if Dr. Ravi Kisan would kindly consider, sir, if you would like to tell them about understanding this volatility. Now, after the conversion of that into finished product, where is that? How is that going? Is that maintaining a constant or is that also in flux because of a lack of minimum support price? Now there is also information asymmetry. Today, say in cash crops, you have some degree of symmetry in terms of information, but there is Huge information asymmetry in millets. Huge. It's bad. And trust me, for all these years, I have been very unsuccessful in trying to build a framework. And anyway, who am I? I'm a common man. I'm a civilian. Yes, I can come and tell Dr. Ravi Keswan. I'll say talk. I won't talk about the others, but since Sir is here, I'll talk about him. He'll be able to relate to what I'm telling him. But his hands are tied in so many places. He might go and tell them. He's got credibility, great. Touchwood, lucky for him. But even if he has credibility, he's going to go and talk to the authorities, go to the budget session. Will they listen? Will the politician on the dais listen? Will the bureaucrat listen? There is also a truth and fact that you all have to keep in your mind. And there was a beautiful India Today article that was written on it years ago, the politics of food. The politics of food, the positioning of rice and wheat in the Green Revolution was a neurotic impact. Imagine, like Sheila ma'am was saying, she was a very young IAS officer at the time. She was an assistant deputy collector. They had a different thing back in the day. And she used to work in Dindigul district, extremely poor district at the time. Development indicators were at the worst. She went to schools and then she asked, Nellu soru kedakkidu. Nellu soru kedakkidu, because they were eating that during festivals. If they had access to it, otherwise it was kambangula and all the other things. நெல்லு சோறு கிடைக்குதா அதனால நாங்க பள்ளிக்கூடத்துக்கு வரோம் நெல்லு சோறு கிடைக்குது. So the socio-economic positioning, the kind of gentrification through your plate, you of course get gentrification through literacy, through knowledge, you get gentrified, but it's also in your practices. The gentrification aspect of what you had in your plate, the status positioning of it, it wasn't granted for millets. Now you take that back thematically, historically, the politician will come and tell you, yes, I want to give minimum support price and all that, but it's going to politically hurt my party because the opposition will say, see, they're making you eat poor man's food. Not realizing it's where the health factor is, your nutrition, the access, the risk. Tomorrow, there's a national security threat on food. Huh? I'm not kidding you. And we're seeing it right now. Karnataka, there's a water crisis from hell. The university can't learn black magic to get rains coming. You can't. We have scientific mitigation measures, but unless, say, Sir will come to the budget meeting in Chennai, I will sit in a corner quietly over there. He'll get a forum to speak. Yes, he has credibility, but the politician sitting on the dais will say, yes, we need to have a minimum support price for this. He'll go back and say that, my God, I'm not doing it because my party boss is going to shoot me. Because the opposition is going to say that this poor man's good. The bureaucrat will be like, where am I going to get the money for this? Because the minute I put a minimum support price, I need to build in subsidies. I need to build in all those kind of things. I need to build in storage. Does the government of India have money today? Or does the state government of Tamil Nadu have money today? Do you know in Tamil Nadu, would anyone like to volunteer? You know, I'm an entrepreneur. I pay for electricity. Electricity in Tamil Nadu is really cheap for industrial level electricity. But do you know how much debt the Electricity Corporation of Tamil Nadu has, the State Electricity Corporation? How much debt? One institution of the government of Tamil Nadu. Is air conditioners running, lights, everything. Do any of you know? Of course, read the newspapers, you'll know. But 1,30,000 crores is the debt accumulated on which they're servicing interest for the electricity corporation within Tamil Nadu. Because they've subsidized it. You know, power can only be generated at a certain price point. They've subsidized it so much. You go to Karnataka, it's about 12 a unit in industrial. You come to Tamil Nadu, it's 4 a unit. You imagine a 2% variation. There also they're subsidizing, but not to the extent our government is subsidizing in Tamil Nadu. The debt. Now, the bureaucrat will worry about that. Because they'll say a green revolution subsidized it. So you also need to, if you're bringing it, you have to subsidize it. Then we can make it accessible to the masses to start with. And ideally, it should be the way. But this crop doesn't need that. People also don't want to touch it if it's cheap. It's human psychology, market dynamics, behavioral economics. Behavioral economics plays a huge role here. So it's a big mystery. So let's have this journey. If I have done a reasonably good job for all of you, if I've given some knowledge, and if sir might consider, I'd be happy to take you to the next part of the journey by seeing it in practice. In a factory unit, talking to people who go through the struggles of it every day. It's nice to be talking about it in theory, nice to see it in practice. Yeah. So I will be coordinating with sir. A great thanks to your institution, deep sense of gratitude, and a deep sense of gratitude to sir. This is not just something I'm saying for the formality of it. I don't like formalities. He knows my mouth. I go to places and get myself into a lot of trouble, yeah, because I speak my mind. So here, my sincerest gratitude to you, sir, for all that you've taken me through. Yeah, I didn't even know ragi was a millet, FYI, once upon a time. Thank you all very much. Yeah, have a great day. Did I wake you up? Yeah, I woke you all up. Yeah, had a bit of a shake up. So next time I do on target practice, I'm on volunteering. Yeah, have a great day, guys.